I always psych myself up with that music. Hi, everybody. Welcome back. I've missed you all. A normal horror Tuesday. Before we get into it, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, share the stream, and helping me get to 1K subs by my birthday. Today's going to be a fun one. Last week, I got to interview Brandon Salisbury on his documentary of George Romero's Resident Evil. Today, I'm bringing on a fellow content creator, and we're going to be talking about her favorite horror movie. So without further ado, let me bring her on. And nobody can see you. Moxie!
I'm here. I'm real.
You're real. If it's going. If people don't know who you are you, Moxie? What do you do?
Moxie name. I have a mixed bag of a channel. I don't have anything as organized or well focused on any sort of topic. But my main shows are one-on-ones on Monday evenings, usually 8 p.m. Pacific time, where I sit down with another content creator as my co-host for the evening, and we talk about news, pop culture, current things going on, and that kind of thing. Monthly, I do have that Crime of the Month show with Leon, Words of Paradise, and we go through a true crime case that most people have already known, but we talk about it and discuss it a little differently than your average true crime creator on YouTube. So I'm in the nerdosphere. I hang out with a bunch of dorks over in the comic space and the animation space and all that. The Cabal, Diabolical Souls, and Angry Badger, Nerd Wars.
The Cabal.
The Cabal. But yeah, so I'm all over the place. I'm all the sphere adjacents. I dabble in a little law tube. So
Jack of trades, Jack of many trades, master of
none. Yes.
Well, thank you for joining me. I know we had a good time. I was on one of your Monday night shows a couple weeks back.
Had a great time. Yeah, we had a great time.
And I am really happy I found my 90-day fiance trash talking. Like we could talk trash about it. Yes. Fan. Because I don't have any girlfriends that are really into it, except for my sisters are like into Keeping Up with the Kardashians, but I'm not.
Not my cup of cringe.
Yeah, I need to feel bad I need somebody to tell me they have a worse life than me. I feel bad.
It's not that bad.
Yeah.
I'm not that terrible.
90-day fiance. I turn to my husband. I'm like, oh, I really dodged a bullet by marrying him. Meaning good things. But welcome. Thank you for joining me. So, as you know, my channel focuses, you know what? Before we get into it, let's just say hi to the chat. I'm everywhere today.
Chat.
This Monday has just thrown me off. Vex with her sassiness. By the way, there is a poll happening over on the YouTube side. Is The Shining overrated? Because I know it is actually pretty mixed with a lot of people. I grew up thinking it was like one of the most amazing movies, but we'll get to it. I won't be around while you're live, but have a great stream, and Dr. Sleep fucking sucks.
The movie or the novel or both?
She's probably talking about the movie because I'm making her watch my top 25 movies for my birthday stream.
I didn't care for that one. I'm with Vex on this one for sure.
Really?
Yeah.
You're gonna have to come back, or maybe we'll dive into it because it's kind of within the vein of it. I actually really liked the movie, but I'm a Flanagan stan. So, 1,000 Men, hail, hello, Moxie. Why?
Me?
No!
What's she doing over there?
5 memberships. Girl, you didn't have to. Thank you so much.
That wasn't me. That was Patricia. It's fine.
Is that your alternative?
My alter.
Alter? Mine is Rachel is mine.
Oh.
Yes.
Is Rachel a bitch? Because that sounds like a bitchy name.
Kind of. I'll give you this.
Afternoon, ladies.
Afternoon, Billy.
Take the new suit, Mrs. Wheeler.
Thank you.
I don't know if you've ever seen Stranger Things, but
I've seen Stranger Things. I do enjoy Stranger Things. I live out in the country, and so like we have the Ring camera, and certain times a year, it looks like the upside down because of how many bugs are in the air. It's disgusting, but because it has like the night vision and all of this. Yeah. So every time I get a notification, I think of Stranger Things upside down. My brain is kind of retarded, so
I would want to live out in the middle of nowhere because I want chickens and I want to be able to have chickens and stuff. But that terrifies me because I believe that there are like stuff out there that we don't. Like, I believe in the conspiracy theory that the national parks were set up to protect us from what's in there, not to necessarily protect the national parks from us. That's why it's always like stay on the trail and everything. So, yeah. You
Don't go on the government property, you're going to be shot, kind of a thing.
Like, there's like skinwalkers.
I always thought that was going to happen.
Bigfoot, all Bigfoot and all that stuff that are in the parks, like things to get you. So that's
monsters.
why you stay on the. Yes. So I should tell.
Are you saying you believe the government wants to protect us?
Not the government, not our government now. The
Another
government
good
back
agency.
then.
Another
Maybe.
agency, maybe.
Oh,
Yeah.
fuck, you're right. Now that kind of ruins my
no.
conspiracy on it. Because, like, would the government really protect us, or would
What are they hiding? What are they hiding? You've started watching X-Files recently.
Yeah.
So,
oh, they're hiding everything. They're
Oh.
hiding everything. I 100% believe that they have hidden our history, part of our history too. Yeah, I 100% believe that we're generations away from something that we probably have forgotten, told down by generation, and 100% the government knows about it, and just yeah. Man, now I gotta really think on my.
Oh, no.
Okay, all right. Rio, evening, Nadia, Moxie. Hope you're doing okay tonight. I am. I'm sure Moxie is as well.
tickety boo.
Tickety boo.
Tickety boo.
Rick, I. Anthony, I. Overrated? Fuck no. Right? Some people believe it. I have a meeting for a while, but have an awesome stream. Thank you, Big Ship, for stopping
Big
by.
Ship.
Caught it early. I would have to say The Shining is far from overrated. Some people say it's overrated. Sup, lady boners.
Jenna.
See, history has been twisted for sure. The runners write the history book. See, I think it's a little darker than that. I think of that. So, horror movies.
Horror, yes.
In general. Horror. Not the other thing. Horror. What's your experience?
That's your other channel.
Yes, yeah. That's the members only channel.
Oh, yes, exclusive.
Yeah. What's your experience with it growing up? Have you always liked horror movies? Not so much? Like,
I think grew up in a very religiously conservative home, so wasn't allowed to watch certain things. Rated R movies were bad, but I did happen to catch certain bits of movies on cable. So when I was in high school, I think that's when I like snuck around a little bit to watch the movies I wanted to watch, because everyone was watching I Know What You Did Last Summer and Scream and those movies. I caught my father one time. He thought he was just everyone was in their rooms doing it's not that kind of story. He was in the living room.
You started it off like that kind of story, okay?
Wait, there's more. So I come in the recliners, back to me, and I'm like, he's watching I Know What You Did Last Summer, like full on watching it. And I'm like, hey, Dad. He scrambled so hard and like tried to drop the remote, and he was trying to change the channel. I'm like, no, I'm into it. Like, so I sat down on the couch and watched him. But if Mom came in, it was game over. So, so that was that. So I had to catch up on the classics, like full on watch the original versions after I turned 18, 19, and was out of the house. So like Carrie, which was a big deal to me because my high school was where it was filmed. Well, portions of it.
Okay, that's cool.
My locker room, the girls' locker room, that scene when the tampons and then the shower, that was in my gym, and a couple of the houses that were next to my high school. Funny thing, so I was friends with, I'm so popular. No, I was friends with like the staff. So the janitor who cleaned the gyms at night, he's like, I don't go down there at night. The lights will come on when you need keys to turn them on in that gym. I will not go down there. And it sounds like kids are running back and forth in the locker room, making noise and stuff.
Oh, hell no. I wouldn't go down there either.
Yeah, no. But a few years ago, the girls' gym, the only thing that burned down was the girls' gym. And there was like no like clear evidence as to why it just like went up. They suspected arson, but why? Why the girls' gym? Tell me, Nadia. Tell me.
Could be the energy that's protecting it.
Maybe.
In some way. Janice said Carrie was filmed at her mom's high school as well.
Oh, do we go to the same high school?
Potentially.
It was filmed at a couple locations, but
yeah, probably bounce. I think the location I think Jana's talking about, I think burned down in the fires though recently. Because I know one of the locations that was utilized for it had burned down due to the fires. Oh, look,
Hi,
a badger
Badger.
arrives. Hi,
No,
Moxie.
so not doxing myself, but it was in Santa Paula, California. It's a small town. Lots of movies are filmed there. Bubble Boy was filmed there.
I've seen that. I've seen that.
It wasn't great.
I've seen Bubble Boy.
Had portions filmed, and it was funny growing up too in that town because the downtown area would get makeovers just for a movie scene or to be filmed there. So our downtown would get beautified and changed, and like the storefronts would get makeovers. It was a really strange thing, but pretty cool.
That is really cool. The only time I've ever seen, obviously, other than working on movies, is when I was in Chicago, living in Chicago. They would do that with like certain parts of the city downtown area. I think there was one movie that has Johnny Depp in it where he plays a mob guy from Indiana. And like I've been to the actual jail that this guy was kept, and I can't remember what the movie was. But my friend and I just snuck on set. We just like walked on and just snuck on until somebody noticed that somebody in a summer dress and flip-flops is probably not part of crew, and we got kicked off. So, But yeah, it's always interesting to me watching set designers, because that's originally what I went to college for, was theater and like set design, of how they can transform buildings that are standing into different eras or different types of looking facades in a sense. So yeah. Uncredited extra, exactly.
My mom tried to get me in as an extra for Leave It to Beaver. It was being filmed. Yeah, so the whole downtown was converted to like looking more 50s and stuff, and they needed like a headshot and a body shot with a dog because they wanted it to be an extra that was walking a dog in the scene. Like I was like 11, very awkward looking, not cute. My mom cut my bangs straight and had low ponytail. It wasn't good. It was a bad look. And she's like, "Oh, you look so cute." I'm like, "No, I look terrible. This is awful." And lo and behold, I did not make the cut. I'm like, "I told you."
Did your mom ever? My mom used to put the bowl on our heads and like cut around the edges of it. And it was until I think I was in middle school when she tried to do it again. And I was like, "I want a professional." It was the words that came out. I was like, "Mom, I want a professional."
You're like, "I will chop your hand off, lady. Don't come at me with that bowl."
Yeah, no, please stop giving me this. Graph Web for $2. For fuck's sake, cancel Disney Plus. You're not going to get me to sing. I'm not singing it, but I will.
Pull an Irwin, the for fuck's sake portion at least. With your chest, as Leon would say.
I will say, you get to pick Spanish or German.
Ooh, German.
Okay.
Und schmeiß ich dich ins Feuer! Du dämliches Weibstück! Du willst mir tun? Ich werd's dir zeigen! Nein!
I feel attacked. You know, Chucky wasn't the best representative of my people.
Oh, right, gingers. Chucky,
Chuckles. Yeah.
First really horror movie I remember watching as a kid, and ever since then I hate dolls. I can't do dolls. I'm terrified of them.
Yeah. So when last time I went for a an official meetup in Vegas, it was just Legal Vices and House of Flux and Aussie Overlord. We got together in May of 2024, and Jeff, who's since passed, a good friend, he insists on going. Every time he goes to Vegas, he has to go to the Haunted Museum.
Oh, hell no.
So,
nope.
So we went, and they really hype it up. They're like, so many people have passed out from the energy and all this stuff, right? They pump that place so full of incense or something, like you feel lightheaded. And the tour's like 3 hours long. So it's like, yeah, no wonder. I didn't take any of it seriously. I mean, like, because I'm the Scully in the room, right?
Okay, I'm the Mulder. Okay,
you're the Mulder, I'm the
right.
Scully. Yeah. It's like, okay, well, they have all of our names on the registration. We're in this room with this possessed doll, and don't look at her in the eyes and all that stuff. And that, I don't remember what they call it, but the radio frequency where it just picks up whatever's in the ether, and it's like it'll pull words like Bumblebee from Transformers, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And one of the things that it said was, Jessica's a bitch. I'm like, yeah, I am. But you also know my name from the registration. I don't believe you, Betsy. I don't believe you. But
I have a rule about that place for people who come to visit me. That is the last place you go before you leave. You do not go to that place and come to my house. We don't hang out, because I truly believe there's like really interesting, and maybe it's not haunted, but there's energy there, and I just don't need that brought to my house. I'm just I told my
really
sister
that happened. Go ahead. So 1,000 Men. He didn't like it. I didn't like the clown that ends up falling. There's like this big row of clowns, and most of them are fake. And it's like, one of these bitches is gonna pop out at me. I know it. No, they didn't. You walk by them, and then you go back around. And if you're the caboose in the group, you turn around. There's a motherfucker like right behind you. Like, sorry for the. Are we allowed to?
Yeah, you can swear.
Whatever?
You can swear. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like so much nope. But 1,000 Men, it was like a day and a half later, something like that. Had like this like bruise that was circular on his calf. And we were like, what did you do to yourself? Like, how did this happen? And he was like, I don't know. It hurts. It's like really tight and sore. And like, what the heck? A few months back, I watched that Tucker Carlson video where he was talking about his experience with a spiritual entity, and like he had like claw marks, like scratches on him and stuff. And then I'm like, oh no. So then I started looking up ghost bites, right? They look the exact same. No, seriously.
Hold on, I gotta look this up. Ghost.
The circular ones. I was like, oh yeah, you got bit by a demon. Thanks, Jeff, for taking us to the Haunted Museum.
Yeah, nope. So if you plan on going
back,
nope. I won't hang out with anybody. Nope. I've experienced way too many paranormal, supernatural things. Like when I was in college, I had some entity or something that was in my apartment with my roommate. Like we came home one day, our back room was completely flipped upside down. We would hear growling coming through my closet. It was just like, I'm not a fan.
Well, yeah. Okay.
Oh, sorry. $2. I've actually never seen The Shining. Isaac, you should. It's a classic.
It's good.
And so is this one.
Anyone messes with me and the whole camp goes. Go on, child. Burn me.
Yeah. I believe in so many things. I'm a conspiracy hat on. I don't know if ghosts or angels or demons, because I also am Catholic. So like based off the religion itself, once you die, you go. Like there's no way you stay around or hang out, right? But I also believe that we're made of energy. So where does our energy go? And the energy that we put out there creates things too as well, and it attracts things. It's just, this is becoming a interesting stream.
Yeah. So my version of conservative religion, I was raised to believe there is no afterlife. Lights out, dead. Like, oh no, light switches off. So to me, it's all spiritual entities, spirits, and those are, see, angels and demons to me are like the same thing. They just made different choices, and then they choose to do different things. So anytime there's like ghost stories, all that, I don't believe they're people. I don't believe they're our loved ones. It's an entity that maybe has like a Loki type of thing. Like
I got a question for you though. Then what do you think of the theory that aliens are either demons or angels?
I think the spirit entities are presenting themselves to trick people into thinking there's something else.
Interesting.
It's weird. We don't have to get into that.
It's okay. No, whatever you're comfortable with. I could spend hours talking about ghosts, creatures, conspiracy theories. Like that's my bread and butter.
But even still, like I've always had like an attraction to the stories and like the ghost hunter stories. Like those are fun for me to just watch, because I'm like, okay, how real is this? I'm the Scully. But so like my mom, she had stories like my mom is a little wacko though, so grain of salt. But when she was a kid playing with the Ouija board, with her friends, and there was like this whole story about this man named John, and like the candle like flared up, and they like never touched it ever again, kind of a thing. So
My sister messed with one of those, and to this day, my mom believed like a lot of bad things happen to my sister afterwards and the family, and it's because of that.
oh,
My mom was more into like psychics. Like even my sister to this day continues that and visits that. So yeah,
isn't that
it's
also dabbling with some of the woo-woo stuff that if you're a religious person could be kind of like a bad?
yeah, yeah. I am a individual that just constantly wants to know more about things, and like my Bible 'cause
Curiosity
I
killed the cat, you know.
true, and I go to a well, I did for a while. I have to get back into it, but I used to go to a Bibles group, a women's Bible study group, but
Mhm.
we talk about we talk also about the supernatural, because we follow in a sense of like the Bible is missing a lot of things, and a lot of these things missing could explain things such as like giants and Bigfoot, and in a
Nephilim?
sense looking, yeah, Nephilim. So in a sense looking at the supernatural from a biblical standpoint, as if it just, you know, existed and it was just written out. So uh it is it's very, and I'm like you, I've always been attracted to stories like that. I don't know where it came from. I think it probably came from my mom being such into horror, and my godmother as well, and like reading those books and stories, and just kind of just an interest, right? Because we're always
Mhm.
interested in to know more about the unknown and
Oh,
what
and
is,
especially if it's taboo, if you're like it's like, oh, well, what's it about? Like, I want to know
yeah,
more. Like, you know, it especially for a teenager, let's say, like in my position. Yeah, it's like, well, why can't I? I want to see what it's about. Like, you keep telling me this is bad. I need to see for myself, and it's not that bad. But
and my sisters and I, we used to go ghost hunting. I mean, my sister actually ran one of the biggest like paranormal investigation groups in Indiana for a long time, like one of the well-known ones. So it just, it's interesting to me because you get people who don't believe, and it's fine. Like if you don't believe in this stuff, and it's the argument I have always about like flat earthers, right? Flat
Mhm.
earthers can have a good argument of why they think the earth is flat, right? They can actually make you start to think like, well, maybe it is actually flat. Maybe there is a wall, but then science comes into play, and you can argue the opposite end. So
Well, science and even religion, not
yeah,
science, because the Earth was described as a globe or a sphere. Like, how
yes.
would you know that? So, I mean, yeah, people have their reasons.
Yeah. So but I think those stories are interesting. I think it's just interesting how people pass these down, and the more, especially with social media and technology, as we get, here's the alert. Crusade crusade time, boys. Husband, hello. Hello for
Got a
you.
vital idol raid.
I'm
Hello.
gonna-
This is the skin of a killer, Bill.
I'm a killer.
Vital idol. Oh, hi everybody coming in, guys. Just finished talking about the Mothman. Here we are talking about demons and angels and aliens, and is Bigfoot real and stuff. So welcome, guys. Welcome. Thank you for coming in. And I think I've almost hit my super chat goal I set. That was weird because I'm going to switch over to
Plus.
two more, or I think I'm going to switch over to Until Dawn. So if I get two more blue super chats, we're switching over to Until Dawn, except for Jake just
Oh,
came and just ruined
Jay.
it for everybody. All work and no play make Jack a dull boy. All work and no play make Jack a dull boy. All work and no play.
Jake.
Jack. Okay. Thank you for the $10 and making me repeat myself. For you, sir, I think you know what? Where is it? This okay. Thank you. All right, well, I'm
The
playing
Gucci
Until
knees will get
Dawn
ya.
Friday. Yeah, I'm playing Until Dawn on Friday instead of the Quarry. So we got it. You don't got to read them all. Goodness. Well, that leads me to set up the question I have for you, Moxie,
Oh.
which is,
What's your favorite scary movie?
What's your favorite scary movie?
What's your favorite scary movie?
I think we all can guess it, but what is your favorite scary movie?
Well, the one that I thought would be interesting to talk about, at least, because it's awesome and it's amazing, and it scared me as a younger person. The Shining, yay!
Yay! And it is actually one of my favorite movies. It's all-time number 3 on the list. All time. Behind
It's
Gone with the Wind is number 1. The Thing is number 2, and The Shining is falling right there at number 3.
What
Kinda
about
competes with them.
Nosferatu?
Nosferatu 2024 is in the top 20 list somewhere, but
Okay.
those 3 have always been like and which is weird. Everybody thinks I'm gonna name like a horror movie as my number 1, but it's Gone with the Wind. Technically,
Oh,
it is
man.
kind of horror because it's historic Civil War horror, right? Like it's what we've done to each other as a nation. But yeah, highly recommend that movie.
I think we could work our way with the words to make it work as a horror movie. Sure.
Yeah,
It's in there. It's just phrasing. But
and I have.
ooh, yeah, Stephen King used to be better. But
Yes.
so I always had an appreciation for this movie because it was, to me, incredibly well done. Left a lasting impression on me, kind of thing. But it probably about a year, no, longer than, I listened to the audiobook for the first time.
Okay.
It is so good. And I'm one of those people, like, I like having the visuals to go with my book. Like Lord of the Rings helped me out a ton because my imagination isn't as grand. This, with the whole tone and the vibes and everything, while listening to the book, which really just expanded on this entire universe of people and characters, and going further and deeper with the characters and their backstories. It's just like I'm watching this in my head so much that it's like, did I actually watch this? Was this in the movie? I need to revisit and do a watch of the movie again and do the listen. But yeah, I love audiobooks. I can do other things while I'm listening to them. But yeah, this was a really great book. And go ahead.
Have you seen Stephen King's directorial The Shining miniseries?
I have not.
So Kubrick's Shining,
Mm-hmm.
you know this. It's not it has bits and pieces of the book, but King will tell you he hates this version. He absolutely hates this. Kubrick took a lot of liberty with it. A lot of differences in the book, especially the character of Jack, where later on in the early 2000s, I think King was able to, I think he directed, I'm pretty sure he directed, but I'm sure he wrote it, a miniseries that is closer to what the book is. I think it's like 3 or 4 episodes.
Did it come out in the 90s, you said?
I think, hold on. Stephen King's The Shining miniseries.
It's
Here we
so
go.
funny because I wasn't allowed to watch horror movies, but like the made-for-TV movies and those other ones. My mom liked Christine. Was that a Stephen King?
Yeah.
Yeah.
With the car?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Very selective parenting on the topic, but
1997. So
okay.
I'm pretty sure I thought he might have directed it, or at least an episode of it. He doesn't have a good background with directing. I don't know if you've ever seen Maximum Overdrive. It's a movie he wrote and direct. It's really
I'm not
bad,
sure.
but it's so bad it's good in a sense. Like it's
Like a cult
about,
following.
yeah, it's about like killer trucks, like hauling trucks, like get a personality in a sense, and they
Is it like Christine adjacent? Like, is it in the?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, not Christina Jason. It's not in the same universe in a sense, but basically these trucks like have a personality similar to Christine, and they have these individuals that they keep hostage at like a gas station, and the individuals are trying to escape. Yeah, it's not great. It's not great.
And that's why you get the jokes like on Family Guy where they portray Stephen King and they're like,
Yes,
he's trying to come up with ideas and he grabs the lamp. He's like, ooh, it's coming to life. Like,
I have always been a fan of King, regardless of his rhetoric online, what personality of an old man. But what was your first introduction to Kubrick's The Shining? Were you? I'm guessing post 18 years old.
Watching the full film, yeah, I was probably 19.
19. Okay.
Yeah.
The book is a 1977 horror book written by Stephen King. It's actually King's third published novel, and it was his first hardcover bestseller. Carrie being the first one that actually put King on the map. Since then, King's books have been adapted. I mean, we have The Monkey coming out this week, which is adapted of one of his short stories, I believe, in The Skeleton Crew. Yep, Jim's right. Maximum Drive. So bad, it's so good. I actually, as punishment, put that on my list, so a bunch of my friends are watching it for the birthday tier. So Kubrick's thing, he took upon this. His version of the Shining is way different than the book. Like I said, in the book, and I have a couple comparisons for it, and I do have slides. These are just fun slides. I am very much a fan of Kubrick's filming style, especially the overhead shots. Kind of makes you feel almost claustrophobic, even though this is a wide shot for it. While I pull this up.
It's very isolating. Just the intro scene where they're traveling to the hotel. You feel like even though it's so vast and so beautiful, the music, the film style, or like you get a sick like. Okay. I don't like what's gonna happen.
Which is strange because it's a horror movie that is mostly shot during the daytime. I mean, we do have night shots, especially when we get to the point where Jack is like losing it and he's seeing ghosts or demonic possession, whatever you call them in the thing. So go ahead.
So for watching this, I take off my belief system and I just watch it for what it is, and it's like, yes, they're ghosts. I go into it just watching it for the story. I don't apply my belief system to stories. I mean, they're fantasy or they're fiction or whatever. And maybe I have those feelings after having known what the movie was about, known where the direction was going, but especially because that watching the intro, it's like, it's like, okay, pins and needles, like ready to go. It's like,
especially the music, that boom, boom.
Right.
Like that,
very dramatic. It's not this happy, picturesque, like, drive through the hillside, the mountains and stuff. It's like
it's not. Fun fact, Kubrick wanted to adapt Bruto's Echo's Folk. Still offended by the adaptation of the name of the rose that he but Echo is still offended by the adaptation of the name of the rose that he refused. Interesting. Houseman. Cool, I guess. I don't know. I can't even say half those words, but thank you for the super chat and the information. I'm all you know what?
No, not the beast! Not the beast! Ah! Open my eyes!
Hold on, move my pugs. They're milling about my chair. So 1 second.
Okay. Oh good. I'm here with the chat. All right. I'm going with it. Jake, it does give you a sense of dread. Correct. Correct. Poll question: Who slides are more fun, Nadia's or water parks? Probably a water parks. You uncultured swine. I don't know what to tell you. Isn't it past your bedtime, by the way? Her breast.
Oh, crazy. The Gucci has her, folks.
I was in a work meeting once and I meant to say her best. I did say her breast. And it was a leadership meeting.
Well, a lot of politicians said erection instead of election, so insurrection. They said erection, so yeah, it happens.
Freudian swip.
Nip.
Jake is right. We're going to actually be talking about a couple of the theories that Room 37. If you haven't seen Room 37, I highly recommend if you're into the whole Shining conspiracy, like what's the real meaning behind it. To be honest, I think Kubrick just was bored with his previous work that he had just come off of, and I can't remember what the movie was, and I think he just wanted to go a little out there with this. And yeah, Shelley Duvall was treated very poorly by Kubrick because he wanted to get those reactions from her.
Oh,
yeah, that's the first time yeah. All right, back to this. All right, so we have different character. So we have Jack, Wendy, and Danny. So in the book, since you've listened to it, Jack is more portrayed a little bit more sympathetic, right? He's a recovering alcoholic. He's fighting against his demons with a clear backstory of like struggles and attempts of redemption. But here in the film, his character is less sympathetic from the start. Like, I feel from the start, you get a sense that there's something off about Jack that you don't like. There's red flags going off.
Yeah.
And
Looked like a total dick.
Right off the bat. And there's
rude,
already
he's
a
just like-
history of abusing his son too. Like that he's
that one time, that one incident
3 years ago. And it's interesting because in the movie, there's a scene where he is at the bar and he goes, this is when he first sees the ghost bartender, or close to, where he's drinking, and he's like, here's to, I think, being 5 months on the wagon or something to that extent, which, if you look at the timeline, means he has been secretly drinking up to this point, even though he claims he's been sober this whole time. So his ability to go kind of further, like delve into the madness, is faster in this movie than versus the book. And that's one of the things King had a problem with, because King always puts himself in his books. He himself, I think, portrayed himself as Jack. I mean, he's had substance abuse throughout his entire life as well. Though I will say, I'm glad he's clean, but his stuff was much better when he was on drugs. Especially the white snow. I'm just saying. I'm glad he's clean. I've liked a couple of the books in the last 10 years. I have them. They're okay. I have one that I really do like. But the good stuff, like my favorite book, is The Stand. And oh boy, The Stand is a crazy story. You ever read this?
I haven't read it.
Do you like a apocalyptic kind of good versus evil story?
I mean, I do, but again, anything. So novels, that types of media, I tend to gravitate toward crime, detective, mystery, things not fantastical, because again, my brain is more in the grounded stuff that I can visualize and conceptualize. If it's any sort of fantasy, I struggle a little bit. Little spoiler alert. Also, with the concept of a god or a higher power, it's abstract to me. It's really hard for me to really connect with it. So when I've seen a film, I'm like, I want to go read the book, because that was really good story wise. I want to know more and like learn more about the characters, because there's only so much you can do in like a 2-hour movie or an hour and a half movie.
Yeah.
So if I'm really interested in a story, then from a movie, then I can go back, and it's so much easier for me if it's like futuristic, if it's sci-fi, if it's all those things. I have some sort of foundation for any of the things described. Harry Potter, I had a similarly hard time with at first.
Well, you
Ender's
are
Game. Ender's Game, that was so difficult for me. But the second book, Ender's Shadow, was written in more of a way that just a normie person that can't visualize all these fantastical things, it was so much better. And then as time progressed, then I was able to envision those things a little better. I think it has to do with a lot of writing style, and most fantasy sci-fi person writing it has a vision, and maybe I don't know, they know what they're talking about. Other people can understand what they're talking about. I'm the Scully. So
you're the Scully to my, I'm the complete opposite. I have to have books that are more in the fantasy driven round. That's why I tweeted like a while back asking for recommendations, and I have a book sitting over there called God's Demon, I think, to read. And I like more theology stuff.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'm
you
more
would
into
probably really like the Subtle Knife. Hold on, is it, what did they call
it?
it?
A book?
The Golden Compass. So it's a trilogy. The Golden Compass is the first one. His Dark Materials.
I've read the Golden Compass when I was younger. Yeah.
Oh my God, it gets so much better. But they do this combination of, and this works for me. It's a dimensional thing. You've read the first book, but one dimension is normal Earth, and the other side is a version of Earth with fantastical things happening in it, which my brain can do. And so HBO Max has a series. They did a really good adaptation, because back in the day, early 2000s, they tried to do The Golden Compass with Nicole Kidman in it.
Yeah, that poor movie. Yep.
Yeah, but there's supposed to be child murder. You can't do that in a PG-13 movie and do it well. So I was very disappointed with that adaptation. yes, I am derailing you. So
No, you're fine. You're fine. I've been wanting to watch his Dark Matters
it's good.
for a while. Or Dark Materials. Thank you, Rick. I just haven't because I wanted to. I have.
Philip
I'm
Pullman.
OCD
It's
about
highly
stuff that has books. I
It's
have to read the
highly-
book first.
sacrilegious. So if
Mm-hmm.
you're easily offended, not for you, but oh, you're there.
Yeah. I have to read the books
Very good
first
series.
before I go into the series, and there's so many
Yes.
series with so many books. I'm rereading it right now to get ready for Welcome to Derry. But The Stand, it's interesting because it's basically a virus that kills people off, and then Vegas becomes a sanction for basically the devil, and there's good versus evil, so it is a little grounded. It's not like you're going to see fantastic beasts or unicorns in it. It's interesting because it kind of came back into media when COVID all happened and such. People were comparing it to it, calling COVID Captain Trips, which is the disease in the book. So there is a mini series for it. Not the Paramount one did a really bad job adapting it. The early 90s one miniseries was a little bit better, but the book is fantastic. But it's not as heavy as some of King's books that lay into a little bit more into fantasy.
That sounds a lot like the show Utopia. Do you remember that?
I could see that. Yeah.
Because there's a virus and the vaccines are spreading the virus and all the things that came out right around 2020 or something, the American version. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh my God, this is what's happening. What's happening, guys? It's so weird.
Yeah, it's probably, I wish they could do a proper adaptation to it. They went a little too, they cut corners with the Paramount version that came out in the last couple of years. So, but yeah, I'm derailing us as well as people are chatting. I am so sorry, chat. I see everybody. I'm uber religious, but not easily offended. Hi, chat. Zax isn't here. Good on you. Hi, Zax. Hello, everybody. Okay, sorry for dealer. All right. Also, okay, moving on to the other character in the book, Wendy. Wendy is more assertive and resourceful in the book, not as passive or frightened, submissive as she is in the film.
She's got this version. She's total full battered wife syndrome, scared of everything.
Well, I think it's probably due to the set environment that she had too. She comes off like that. Shelley Duvall was, I don't want to say abused by Kubrick, but he did a lot of shitty things to her, and I think she had been scarred by the whole production of it too, which is sad. Wow. And she passed away last year, I believe. She had a good run on it. And then Danny, and I have a question for you. So as watching the movie and listening to the book, we know that Danny has The Shining, right? The Shining is King's universe of saying basically people have abilities, right? They're his version of mutants, I would say, comes close to it. They all have different ways of The Shining hits them differently.
However it manifests.
Yeah.
For them.
Do you think Jack also has some sort of shine to him as well? That's why
it would make sense that he's sensitive to it or vulnerable to the effects of, but I mean, Danny's figuring it out really young. Maybe Jack was suppressing it, never leaned into it. So, but as we've heard for a long time, like certain types of drugs and that lend yourself to being open to other forces. Maybe he had some version of The Shining, some access to it, that I think he made him more vulnerable to it, to the negative effects of it.
I agree with you. I think when he was on his sober bout, where he could not access alcohol at the hotel in the movie, I'm talking in the movie, that's the first time he's actually he was susceptible to it, because alcohol, I think, dulls your senses, right? And you would think, okay, maybe being drunk, he'd be a little bit more susceptible to seeing things. I think actually the reverse for him, being sober for the first time and how many months or years opened him up to being aware of his senses around him too.
Yeah. Maybe he was trying to keep those senses at bay with the
Yes.
alcoholism. Cheers.
Now, yeah, my Goosebumps cup, which was an awful boba tea that I had to throw out, but I saved it for my Diet Coke cup because why not? Now, the movie does build up suspense very well. It creates an atmosphere, right? A scary atmosphere. What do you think of the environment that we're placed in here in the Overlook Hotel?
Okay, so I it's a little of two things for me because I am a very retro gal. I do enjoy the creepy music that, well, people call it creepy music, 1920s hotel music, but you only hear it kind of muffled through another room. I fall asleep to that. I enjoy it. It doesn't creep me out. It's very homey. So the aesthetic in the hotel does two different things. While it does have that 20s ballroom vibe, and back in the day it was like the cat's meow. I know, wrong decade. Don't come at me. They also
You're showing your age.
They also had made some choices for the film to make it the contrast more intense. The reds and the blacks and the hyper contrast of it. So it does have more of an ominous feel to it, even though back in its heyday, it probably was just gorgeous, like tinsel and like all the things, like tickety boo. Scooch is still here. But yeah, they made some color choices that maybe they would be the original colors. But it seems like it was just more, the contrast was up, everything was more dramatic for effect. And so yeah, while I love the aesthetic, they also did certain things intentionally to give it a creepiness.
Yes, I agree. The lighting especially used in this, especially because every room in this hotel feels differently in this movie. Like to their personal corridors, to the kitchen, to even where he writes and such. Everything is different, both on a proportional scale and the color palettes that are used throughout the movie.
Yeah, this looks very intimidating, but can also look very beautiful, just depending on the tone. And the music really doesn't help with the Dias-Airy, bum 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 bum. Like it's like that is supposed to evoke emotion in you that is not comfortable. You are not supposed to be comfortable. And given a pretty background coupled with the music, it's this like disproportionate amount of feelings. And so when you have that highs and lows, and the lows where they should, or highs where they should, lows where there should be highs, it sets you off with the music just on its own, coupled with the visuals. Yeah, it's a very impactful film.
It is. I mean, it's a movie that I think has influenced a lot of films afterwards, even to this day. I saw a lot of the influence in The Substance that came out last year. A lot of camera tricks and color palettes and patterns used to it. I think even though King was not King was not happy with this version of The Shining adapted. He did his own miniseries. He's actually, from what I understand, was pretty happy with Dr. Sleep, which was the sequel to the book, but also the sequel to the movie, where Flanagan was able to mix both Kubrick's Shining and the book a little bit better together, which was very hard. I'm sure a lot of people were worried of how he was going to do that to lead into the sequel. But I agree with you with the sound design, because like even in this room with the sound usage on it, this should be a room you should feel safe in, right? It's well lit, it's opened, you can pretty much see every angle, but yet that music just makes you feel like there's somebody maybe sitting behind you or looking at you in the corner.
You have the red doors in the background that look very ominous. And watching the behind the scenes of The Sixth Sense back in the day, it's like red being a symbol, or the symbolism by the usage of red. It's like, the red doors in the background and on the side. So it's like, you have this cozy, loungy area, but also just behind, there's more nefarious things potentially going on. Just, you don't even like consciously think about it, but looking at it with a conscious eye, a critical eye. They're
like, I can imagine
working this,
sitting in a seat on the left-hand side, and you just freak out that somebody might be behind you. coming up from behind you. Like there's
Yeah.
nowhere to hide in a sense in this room.
Mm-hmm.
Wide
Very
open.
vulnerable.
Mm-hmm. Gives you a sense you're about to see something that you weren't meant to see. The camera work kind of voyeuristic, like we were spying. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Correct. Now, there are many theories that go into this, conspiracy theories of it. Now, we're going to get into that. If anybody has seen the documentary Room 237, I do have all 5 of the conspiracy, I like to call them conspiracy theories about this movie and why it was made and such. So we will get into that in a minute here. So further on with the book, so the difference between now the hedge mage plays an important part in the movie, right? We've seen it throughout the movie. It plays definitely in the climax. Doesn't exist in the book. It was introduced. There's a. Go ahead.
Well, wasn't there? I mean, because that was one of the takeaways from the book that I was like, that would have been really hard for them to adapt for film. I get it, but it was very impactful for me as a listener, and it stuck with me. They didn't talk about the maze so much, but the animal features,
yes,
and those coming to life, and that coupled with what I'd seen from the movie with the maze and all that, I kind of like maybe just kind of mushed it all together. But the property coming to life outside of the hotel was like, whoa. It's like,
you ever seen
cool.
Red Rose or Rose Red? It's either Red Rose or Rose Red. Another King miniseries that I don't know if it was adapted on a book or movie, but it's very cheesy, but in the sense of where the Overlook Hotel is an entity on itself, it's alive, right? In the book, it comes across like it's alive. Like this place reminds me of if you've ever read
it consumes the people and it collects them and becomes part of the collective property.
Have you ever read House of Leaves? I think it's House of Leaves. So House of Leaves, it's a weird book. Like there's pages that are written upside down in it, sideways. And it's basically a story of a family that leaves and comes back and finds out that their house is growing from the inside, but nothing changes on the outside. Like this book made my friend go mental to the point where in the middle of the night, he was like measuring his room to make sure. So it's a weird book, but in a vein, like the entity that the house itself is an entity. It's alive. So Big Bad Wolf isn't the puffed and blew it down, Leon. But in the book more so makes it appear that the hotel is its own character in a sense. I don't get that so much. I think Kubrick, to me, it's more of a stage of an area where bad things happen, but it's not necessarily the hotel that's doing it. It's the ghosts or
the ghosts that occupy it.
Yeah.
They've just claimed it, not that the property owns or has sucked them in and absorbed them.
Yes, correct. Yeah, and I don't know if I so much like that change, but I think maybe back when this movie was put into production and stuff, and again, Kubrick changing a lot of things, probably not an easy thing to do without it looking cheesy. Now, in the miniseries, the 1997 miniseries, the Overlook Hotel has a lot more like, how do I say this? Like lights come alive. There's like weird animal like creature things that come alive. Like the hotel's alive in a sense on top of the ghosts that you have.
I prefer
cheesy
the psychological
CGI.
horror than the graphics that would have to be made to accommodate the actual story. So yeah, I prefer the psychological components that gets in your, I mean, they get you. and I love it.
Well, it's interesting because this movie, even though we get ghosts, right? We get a lot of ghosts in this movie and such. It's pretty grounded for the type of story that it's telling. At the end of the day, to me, it's a story of a alcoholic father who's done a lot of bad things in his life, who have succumbed back, getting off the wagon, right? Back onto it, cycle of abuse, and a mother and son who are finally fed up with it. And you could even look at it this way. Danny's Shining could just be a result of the abuse that he's, you know, how kids sometimes have that PTSD and they think like the imaginary friends. They use some sort of outpost to do that.
I appreciated that aspect with this, especially. They keep like, you know, they say like soft magic systems. It's very ambiguous. It's just things are happening, and you can infer however you want to. You can read into it and presume or assume it's one thing or the other. But I like the ambiguity with Danny's character and his sensitivity to whatever is happening, you know. So much so that I didn't really understand what The Shining even was until the book. I was still
Really?
it was still a little like, maybe, it was, I like that. I enjoyed that. I like, it makes you think, right? So.
Well, it's throughout all of his, most of his books, like It, The Kids, The Loser Club, they all have some sort of shining to them. It's also why they're a little bit more accessible to Pennywise, like attracted to it. It's his like abilities, again, like his abilities throughout his book, like the Dark Tower series uses this a lot, but that's more fantasy based. I think one of his more recent books that I read, The Institute, which is about a bunch of kids who have abilities that are being used by the government. So think Stranger Things. It came out, so it's his way. But I agree with you. It could be interpreted differently in this movie as a kid who went through abuse, and this is his, like, he's closed up, and this is his only way of expressing what might have happened to him.
I think in the earlier watches of it, I wasn't so convinced that Danny had the abilities, let's say, that this gentleman here had, because obviously he had some psychic ability. He was tapping into Danny's feelings. So it was just a little, I don't know, not too well defined, and left it up to the viewer to take away what they would from it. But then especially after the book, and then going back and watching it, I'm like, oh, duh. Like, if you had been those people, it would have made total sense. But I like that you didn't have to read the book to just enjoy the movie. But if you had already read the book and you're not Stephen King, that you could also enjoy the movie too for what they did with it, especially at the time. They did really great.
The Shining kids are asking for it. Nadia 2025. Yes, they are. They are completely asking for it. Is there a particular dialogue or quote from the movie that sticks with you that you remember?
The interactions between he and her, especially in the all work and no play, and that whole scene where she has a bat, like she's really going to do something. That interaction was just so suspenseful. It's like, huh. Oh, and the bar scene, he's talking to nobody and he's not drinking alcohol. He's just in his own little version of reality there, isn't he? Yeah, Jack Nicholson was amazing in this.
Oh,
Terrifying, believable. Didn't like him, but appreciate him.
His son looks almost identical to him. His son was in the Smile 2 for a brief moment, and he's got the same look to him. It's interesting. What do you think of the theory that Jack is a reincarnation of the grounds person, that like it's just it's a cycle.
Oh, they can't escape.
Yeah.
And so they keep getting lured back under whatever pretense.
Well, there's a conversation he has in the bathroom because, you know, when he was interviewed for this job, they told him that the previous groundskeeper lost his mind and unalived his family. And that is supposed to be the individual Jack is talking to in the bathroom who cleans him up.
Yes.
But the dude says a particular line to him of basically, no, you're in a sense, like, you're the groundskeeper. You've always been the groundskeeper in a sense.
Oh.
So it kind of leads into the theory that maybe he's just a constant reincarnation of this. That's just a cycle in a sense, like a Groundhog's Day that constantly keeps happening.
Groundhog Day, but murderous and unpleasant for other people.
Yes.
I can see that making sense.
I can see it too. There's tons of it, right? There's tons of symbols. You know what? We'll dive into a couple of the theories that we've got going on. All right, so let me pull it up. So the first biggest. Oh, go ahead. Before
you have questions for me, I'm going to be right back.
Okay. Go ahead. All right, we have a break. A little bit of a break, guys. How's it going, chat? How's everybody going? You enjoying this? Is there any questions, you guys? You know what? I should put that up. Let me do that. If there's any questions y'all want to ask Moxie about this or me. So the poll says no, Kubrick is not overrated by 68%. We're going to end that. So I can start the Q&A. Questions for us. Start the Q&A. All right. And I will check it periodically since I have to have it open on a different tab for it. But how's everybody doing tonight? Everybody, isn't it weird? Moxie is definitely my Scully to my Mulder, because I am definitely the woohoo one, and she is definitely more the logical, common sense one. So I sympathize. Elected. I really want to visit the Overlook Hotel, in the one that it's based off of in Colorado, and stay in the actual room. But it's usually like a year to 2 years booked in advance, especially if you want to stay during Halloween. Or I'd love to, because they do a New Year's party every year, obviously in the vein of The Shining and such. That'd be kind of cool to go to. That'd be actually really cool to go to. Oh, hi, Rachel. Thank you for popping in. Ah, Jake, thank you. More passion, more energy.
More footwork.
One creepy character.
More footwork.
Oh, the naked lady in the bathroom. I actually have that as a bookmark. It's like a hand-painted bookmark of it. So I did put in the chat on the YouTube side. Thank you everybody who's watching. There's like 50 people watching between YouTube, and so if you guys want to ask questions, go ahead and put them in the chat. We have our first question. You buy a bat and a ball for $1.10. The bat costs $1 more than the ball. How much did the ball cost? Wait. Yeah. So 10, wouldn't it be 10 cents? You're asking two girls to do math, Hook.
Where is this question?
It's in the question side. It's you buy a bat and a ball for $1.10. The bat costs $1 more than the ball. How much did wait, that all right. I don't know.
10 cents?
10 cents? Now here's some real horror.
You buy it for $1.10. You buy the bat and the ball for $1.10. The bat costs $1 more than the ball.
So 10 cents, right? Shining versus math.
I'll go with 10. I don't care if I'm wrong.
I don't know who you have a fetish for, Bobby, but cool. Always had a crush on her. That's probably Shelley Duvall. Okay. All right. Okay.
Definitely Shelley.
Okay. So let's oh wait, we gotta why were the twin girls different heights? That's a good question.
Fraternal twins,
maybe because the groundskeeper in the beginning of the movie, when they're describing that he had unalived his family, he said that he had two kids of different ages, not twins. So the twin, who do the twins belong to?
Good question.
And then question is, sometimes horror movies get way too spooky and the movies are designed to scare the living daylight out of you. And I mean, they will scare the crap out of you. It's not a question, but I agree. There are some movies that people find terrifying that I'm like, it's good, but I don't see why people are terrified of it. And then there's movies that aren't so terrifying that terrify me. Like, for example, Heretic that came out last year. Because it's the discussion of what happens in the afterlife. Is there a God? Do we go somewhere? That shit terrifies me. So it got under my skin to being, in a sense, like a scary movie to me. People go watch like Terrifier, and I'm more amused by it than terrified by it. So, dude, hold up. The twins aren't great. Yeah, there's a lot. If you go back and you watch the movie, he describes the kids as two different ages, and that's not twins. So,
hey, D Nice, good to see you.
Favorite Dr. Sleep scene? Have you seen Dr. Sleep yet?
I did, but I didn't like it and I forgot about it. So I didn't like her top hat. The aesthetics just didn't do it for me.
Fair enough. It's okay. It's all right. We can't all be winners, Moxie. We can't all be winners on this.
I'm no expert. I don't wish to try to convince anybody of my own opinion. It's just, it wasn't It didn't live up to being a sequel to this, which I actually valued and cared for. Also, not unlike the live action version of Beauty and the Beast, sucking because the source material in Disney's version was so near and dear to me. So don't come at me, Badger.
I'll actually be on He's probably not on the chatting board, but I'm actually on Badger's side on this one. I actually liked the live action Beauty and the Beast, and I listened to the soundtrack kind of periodically.
No, she sounds terrible. The mixing, the audio was garbage.
There's a reason why we're frenemies. I don't know what to tell you, me and Badger. So we agree on some things, we don't agree on things. So, all right, let's get into some of the conspiracy theories on this movie because we've all kind of seen it. Okay, all right. So these conspiracy theories are from room 237. We'll do one, and then we'll do a couple questions. We'll do one. So the first one is the Native American genocide theory. The theory interprets the Overlook Hotel as a metaphor for America, with its history of violence against Native Americans. Particularly, there's a lot of Native American imagery throughout the hotel. There's that
and you can see an American flag in the same room.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Pull that back up. They're right here on the right-hand side. Right-hand side, you see the Native American artwork above the fireplace. That's also where Jack is throwing his ball aggressively at, which people can indicate as like the white man's hurt. Yeah. Anyway, the hotel's location is on an Indian burial ground. The use of Native American motifs in the decor, such as like the Calumet baking soda can, which is throughout the movie. You see that. The film's opening images of Native American landscape and the blood coming out of the elevator is likely to link to the bloodshed of the Native Americans. So symbolism is like the destruction of Native culture by European settlers, symbolized through the hotel's history and its destructive influence on the Torrances. It's an interesting theory to me. I don't think that's what Kubrick was going for.
But the fact that he put the imagery in there, maybe it's maybe an Easter egg type of deal, but it does help kind of, okay, that's why it's haunted here. It's a, I wouldn't say MacGuffin or whatever they call it, but him allowing the imagery in this room to be so strikingly convenient to that theory, or was it just happenstance and then the theories came up after that?
So that's a good question. I don't know the answer to. I don't know if
we need to do more homework. Both of us.
Well, this movie bombed when it first was released, and I don't know how much of the Native American genocide theory is recent or has always been. There's imagery. There's also there's four other theories too that could fit. So that's just the tip of the iceberg.
Do any of them or all of them work together, like different portions of it, or is it just it's either one theory or another, or is there a way for them to all,
I think the last two that I'm gonna bring up work the best together. Okay. I don't want to spoil it for everybody, but the last two, I don't. So when I first watched the documentary and did a little bit of research, I can understand maybe there is symbolism of the Native American genocide. I just don't. I don't see how that could be interpreted with The Shining's book too as well. Even though it's the source material, it could be. It could be.
Kubrick said that wasn't what he was going for, right? Mm-hmm. So the only usually the director is the one leading any sort of like agenda or messaging little nuggets here and there, right?
The only thing I think I've ever read that he has verified in this theories is that the reincarnation theory of Jack being a reincarnation of groundskeepers that are just reincarnated to be put through this. That's the only thing I believe I've read at some point that he said yes to.
Would that explain why he's in the photo?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And the photo with him with the satanic, like, because it looks like with his hand up and one down, it looks like the
Baphomet.
Yeah, that's what it. Thing? Yeah, reminds me of. Very much so. It's a common thing people have pointed out before. Jake said, when I heard it, I thought it was really cool conspiracy theory, but I'm with you, Neds. We could Ben and Twist's movie massage a bunch of theories. Yeah, that's true. That's
Yeah,
true.
if you try hard enough, or if you're looking at it through a certain lens from whatever year you're in.
Yeah. All right, so let's get back to questions. Let's get back to oh wow, we got a lot of them.
Oh my.
Do you think the director should have stuck to the book more?
I like it for what it is, but I like it in conjunction with the book. Like it's so hard to boil down a novel that's epic, right, into a one-off or film, if that's what was intended at the time. So you incorporate a lot of the things that are important to maintaining a story, but not deviating too far. And so in that, I think they did a great job in packaging it for a film with what they had at the time. I appreciate it all on its own, what it is. I think it's held up. The book only made me appreciate the movie maybe in a different way, but I wouldn't say one or the other. I think both are great. And yeah, read the book, watch the movie.
Read more.
Read more.
Leon here with his hot take. Both the book and movie are overrated. Dr. Sleep is better as both book and movie. Leon,
I didn't read the book yet, but the movie...
The movie's pretty good.
It was hokey for me.
I could see that, but also he was trying to combine both Kubrick's legacy of the Shining and the book together to be as close adapted to the Dr. Sleep book as possible. So I can see why some people might find it like hokey in a sense, right? But yeah, I'm gonna have to disagree with my lofty brother on this one.
Womp womp.
Yeah, sorry. That's a bad take, Leon. That's bad.
Ooh.
You should be ashamed of yourself.
Admonish.
Now, with watching this movie again, do you feel it loses impact on rewatchability?
I've not experienced that. I think, the suspense and not knowing what's going to happen the first time you watch a suspense film or a psychological thriller or horror, you never quite get that back. But I don't think it diminishes enough with rewatching to not still feel the anxiety building. Like the musical score, like all of that, it still induces a certain sort of like guttural, like what's going to happen, but you're still like, oh no, it's going to happen, like kind of a thing. Like it doesn't lose its psychological power that it has over me watching it personally. So I don't know if that's the same way for other people, but no, I enjoy watching it. Also, the other thing that I've liked to do with this film is to watch for things that I've missed on other watches. I'm like, okay, did I miss something here? Or, they do those quick flashes of, let's say, the furries in the room kind of a thing. It's like, wait, what? Pause, please. So I'm consistently, constantly watching for things that I may have missed on other watches that make more sense in the totality of the film or add more to the depth of the film, especially since having listened to the book, I'm like, maybe I'm going to see something different now. So
do you watch this every year? Is this like a Halloween rotation or just whenever you feel like?
I think the only set of films that I have to watch every year is probably the extended version of Lord of the Rings. So
okay,
it's going to be a 12-hour day of Lord of the Rings, and it can just get on. But I don't have this on a cycle, but I think it's definitely one that I would enjoy on a regular basis. I haven't watched it probably since I listened to the book, so it was probably a year and a half ago.
I usually watch this in dead of winter. This is not a October movie for me. This is not like a horror movie I have like movies in October that I rotate to watch, and then usually I'll rotate something new in. But this is to me like to get that isolated feeling that you're all alone in the middle of nowhere, covered by snow. I always like to watch it when snow would fall in the Midwest or when it's like the coldest time of year, just for the ambiance of it.
See, when it snows here, I typically like to put on like Edward Scissorhands.
That's I think everybody has that comfort movie that, you know,
Mhm.
snow falling outside, or even for rainfall too. Like, to me, rainfall movies are my Harry Potter movies. I'll throw those on. Well,
Ooh.
like,
Also, we get super dense fog here, so I always
oop,
think, are we in the others? You know, that kind of a thing. So
or you could
I'm
watch
sorry.
The Mist and be really upset with yourself.
Never saw it. I heard bad things
Really?
about it, so I never watched it.
Mm. I like The Mist. The Mist is very, but it's got like monsters and fantasy, so I don't know if you would enjoy it if that's not like your cup of tea. It's
I
also
might. I just heard bad things about the twist and the ending or something.
the twist is very dark at the end. Like,
I like
very,
dark.
it is if you're, especially if you have kids yourself, it's pretty heavy. I would actually argue the Fog itself movie, Leon, instead of the Silent Hill, but Silent Hill movies are pretty good too. Yeah. The Thing, that's my snow movie. Yeah, that's a pretty good one too. All right. So, second theory, conspiracy theory, is the Apollo 11 hoax. Now, there is this grand conspiracy theory that Kubrick filmed the moon's landing. You ever heard that before? You know how they say like the moon landing's fake, and so Kubrick's the one that filmed it.
So there was a show in the late 90s. I was probably about 12, and they were debunking all the things, and it's a conspiracy theory show, which would not be allowed to have been made in the last prior to now, the last 12 years. But it was like saying the JFK assassination was an inside job. Oopsie. Yes. Also, the moon landing was fake, and it went on about all the reasons why. It was on like one of the main channels, ABC, CBS, NBC, one of those. I was all up in that, and since then I was like, yep, okay, maybe we did go to the moon, but this is not accurate. This is not okay. This is no way possible. I was convinced from then. I'm like, yeah, this looks staged as like AF. Like, no, just no.
I am of the, I think we did, I'm with you. Like, we did go to the moon, but we didn't go to the moon then. We have gone to the moon, but that looks,
sure. I mean, India's been to the moon apparently. So
yeah,
I mean,
we've all been to the moon.
maybe at some point we've all been to the moon, but that what was shown at the time, no way, Jose. Like, get out of here.
Yeah. Hook said Kubrick did fake it 100%. That we can't go back to the moon, we don't have technology, is wild. And I realize, you know what, I'm going to put you on the tops because nobody needs to see my face when I bring up chats. Yeah. So the theory suggests that Stanley Kubrick, who allegedly helped fake the moon landing, left coded messages in The Shining about the secret. Evidence. The number 237, which is different than the book, right? The book's hotel number might refer to the distance from Earth to moon in thousands of miles, which I think that is a fucking stretch. Danny wears an Apollo 11 sweater. Later, it changes to another Apollo mission symbolizing the hoax. Room 237's eerie transformation could symbolize staging the moon. I think that's a huge stretch. The film's use of phrasing "shining" must be a pun on moonshine, implying fakery. The film is seen as Kubrick's confession or coded message about his involvement in the moon landing hoax.
Yeah, that seems a little stretchy.
Yeah, I think that one and the next one are like the weakest of the whole conspiracy, like theories of what this movie was and such. Now, let me see. I have another question for you. Well, basic question, like, who is your favorite character in this movie, and what makes that so compelling to you?
Jack is actually my favorite character. He's
Nothing wrong with that.
unhinged. I mean, I wouldn't want to be friends with him. I wouldn't want to be married to him. You know, I wouldn't want to be in a hotel with him. Maybe have a drink at the bar and be like, that guy was a freaking weirdo. But he's the performance is scary good. Jack Nicholson on his own also has a vibe about him, but I think the character himself is just really interesting, and the progression of his psychosis is like, whoa. And Jack Nicholson's performance, yeah, it just he sells it so good. So he's my favorite character. Shelley did an awesome job, but also apparently she had PTSD and was maybe being abused on set in some ways. But yeah, very believable. And since now I know, she was being genuinely terrified and upset and all the things, which makes me sad. But yeah, Jack is my favorite character.
Did you know the famous "Here's Johnny" scene took 3 days to film, and they used 60 doors?
Wow, did not know that.
Yeah.
What were the complications?
Probably just Cooper. I didn't read too far into that. Probably Cooper just didn't get the reaction he wanted out of it, to be honest. Back then, I feel like filming back then was a lot wild west, not as regulated as it is now. Not everybody worried about everybody's feelings and safety back then. Like I have been on some
safety.
I've been on some movie sets that I'm like, this is an OSHA violation happening right now. But yeah, it took them 60 doors, 3 days of filming, and to get through that.
Oh yeah, Uncle Gus, he said, I love the footage of Jack pumping himself up before swinging the axe. I've seen that.
Well, even when he's throwing the ball at the wall, it's the same kind of, like, later on, same movement he would use with the axe through the door. If you watch the thing, kind of foreshadowing, I guess, in a way, what I read about it. I've read papers on this. Like people have gone through this. Shelley actually suffered from nervous exhaustion throughout filming, including physical illness and hair loss.
Poor honey.
Oh, and by the way, the throwing the tennis ball was Jack's idea. The script only just said Jack was not working, so that was improv by him.
But that makes sense for the character who's increasingly agitated, and yeah, that works.
Not having alcohol to turn to and such. All right, so our third theory, which I think is a stretch, the Holocaust theory.
Oh no.
This theory now, see, I think the Native American genocide is closer to, might be more in vein of this movie than this. I think this is a little bit more of a far stretch.
Like with the whole, like you said about the like Indian burial ground sacred and like incorporating that into why it's this place in the middle of freaking nowhere that's, killing everybody.
This theory sees The Shining as an allegory for the Holocaust, with the hotel representing Nazi Germany. The maze as a symbol of systematic extermination of in the concentration camps, cans in the pantry resembling gas containers, canisters used in the Holocaust, German typewriter Jack uses, which also could symbolizes Germany's guilt or history. The film's color red, invoking blood and violence, and the family's entrapment in Jack's descent into madness parallels the horror of the Holocaust. I think that the Native American genocide is closer to what could be than this. I think this is a reach.
Oh, that is somebody who decided something and then just kind of finagled any sort of thing to make it fit the narrative that they were saying it was. Boobies.
I know. I had to blur it out a little bit.
They're still there. Hey, girls.
I love this room because of the color contrast. Because we get the browns, the reds throughout the hotel. Even in their like not servant, but like their living quarters are like that pinkish brown colors, and it's just, this is such a high contrast to all the other colors throughout it, and it's just so well done, and it makes you feel uneasy, like there is something wrong in this room. Even the toilet is that color too.
Okay, I love this bathroom, but yeah, I'm a weirdo vintage girl. I love this. It's very grand, right? But yes, it's off-putting with the color scheme, but come on, can you imagine being in a gown or a robe, a fancy robe with fur all like around it, and you've got your little cap on, and your like long smoky cigarette stick thingy, and it's like it's fabulous. I love this, but the tone, the music, and everything make it creepy as fuck.
Especially because they're supposed to be alone, and then there's this random lady who's just
what's she doing
taking a bath.
And the book goes into who she is and how she got there, what happened to her, and all the things. And she was this like MILF, GILF, whatever you want to call it, party lady that spent a lot of money on young men. So the backstory with the imagery, I loved it. It was great.
Have you ever wanted to go stay at the actual hotel that the Overlook is based off of?
In like passing thoughts, and not like I have to book a few years in advance to get there, but it'd be pretty cool. It would really be great. It's not the same one that they show on the exterior, right?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
It's somewhere else.
It's somewhere else. And usually if you want to stay in the room that King came up with this idea, it's usually like a year in advance booking. And then it's supposedly haunted. They do haunted tours of it too. People have seen things at night in their room. What I really would love to do is that they do a New Year's party every year in vein of the last shot of the movie with the picture and stuff. So I thought that would be kind of cool to go try.
But you won't go to the Haunted Museum.
No.
Oh, so fun little segue or side quest, if you will. So Santa Paula, where I grew up, and lots of things were filmed there. It's also the home of the Glen Tavern Inn. And if you're in any sort of the know of haunted places, the Glen Tavern Inn is one of the most haunted places like ever. I've watched so many YouTube videos of people staying there, like documented, like nothing happening. But my brother, he was late teens, and one of his friends was working in the kitchen, and he would tell stories about, like many people would that stay in the hotel, they would tell stories about a scream coming from one of the rooms that they would hear. No. But his friend worked in the kitchen because it is an active hotel, and they do banquets. And I had one of my high school reunions there one time, and he said that he was in the kitchen, and it was like after hours, and he thought his coworker went home. He did go home, but things in the kitchen were moving around and stuff. And he's like, hey, let's say Jose, like, what are you doing here? Blah, blah. And the knives and forks and stuff started like getting thrown across the kitchen, and nobody else was there but him. So he quit that job.
Yeah, no, I'd be out. The reason why I would want to stay at the hotel is because those entities are like locked to that ground.
They're attached. Yeah.
The museum out here, they've disturbed those energies and brought it into one place, and that place is going to just explode like metaphorically explode one day with the energy that they bring out there. I have seen enough movies, and I've experienced enough like hauntings and ghosts in my life that I'm like, nope, get the fuck out. I'm out. GTFO. Nope. You can have the kitchen, dude. I'm cool. I'm cool. I've even seen the I don't know if you do a show with Leon, the tall man that like visits people that are like usually like at the edge of their bed or in their room, and he has like a huge flat brim hat. Have you ever heard of this? Like multiple people have said that they've seen this, where they're like half asleep or something in a sense, or they go into a room and it's this entity or thing that just like, it looks like a very tall man with a very wide brim hat just standing in corners of the rooms or at the edge of your bed. And I've seen this thing. Like
I've seen shadow people a couple of times.
Yeah, that's in that similar vein. Yeah, it's not
waking
good.
dreams type of thing. Like I'm awake, but am I? I don't know.
Yeah. The kid is creepy. I will say the chemistry between the three does so well. So because Danny Lloyd was so young, since this was his actual first acting job, Kubrick was actually very protective of him. That's a good I think he was Danny Lloyd's age in The Shining 6. He was 6 years old.
He was 6. Wow. I was thinking a little older maybe.
During the production, he was under the impression that the film was a drama, not a horror movie, which it's horror, but I think this movie kind of crosses genres too. It's like a thriller. It could be, I could see it labeled as a drama maybe.
Yeah, but if you isolate his scenes and all that, like he could perform those scenes without being exposed to the scary side. They're just...
Yes. When Wendy's carrying Danny away while shouting at Jack, she's actually carrying a life-size dummy. So Lloyd wouldn't have to be in the scene. So he was really protective of this kid, but Shelley, Forget that. So, R.I.P.
It's a
R.I.p.
silly woman.
Yeah.
She'll get over.
This scene was terrifying because
Ooh.
to me it there's a couple layers that could be thank you, yeah, it's supernatural. Hi, it's horror thriller. So people have theorized that this scene, especially when Danny comes and sits on his lap and is a little creepily, that there was not physical abuse that happened, but different
the
kind
other
of
kind.
abuse. Yeah. Like
PSA.
I think it's I don't think so, but I think it's still creepy in a sense because I've had an abusive parent, so when you're that age, you don't know if they're there to be nice to you or to like break your arm in a sense, right?
Sure.
Or hurt you in a sense. So like
Yeah.
I think you could see it in Danny's face, like the hesitation, the frustration, because
he's
his dad is
super
not a safe.
apprehensive to approach him.
Yeah, his dad is not his safe space, so he doesn't know, is his dad going to be nice to him and they're going to hang out and I don't know, talk about baseball, or is he going to be yelled at or hit or incensed? So rewatching this as an adult, I realized like why I was so drawn to this movie as a kid, because I related to Danny in certain ways, because you can see the hesitation, like you said, on his face for it. So yeah. All right, are you ready for our next theory?
Sure.
Okay. All right. So let me see if there's any questions. No. Okay. All right. So this these last two theories are what I think combined together can make sense. So theory number 4 is maze and minotaurs. The interpretation focuses on the themes of maze, both literal and symbolic, in The Shining. So the literal hedge maze, where Jack chases Danny, represents entrapment and the loss of self. The hotel layout itself is a maze, symbolizing psychological entrapment or a labyrinth type mind, which makes sense because it does feel like the hotel is, again, its own entity, its own being in this movie. So it's constantly changing. Like this
it's
hotel
manipulating
size,
you, and there's no way to escape it, and you feel that like weight on you being inside of it.
It makes it feel like it's growing, right? It just doesn't make sense, the sizes of the rooms. And granted, that could be how it's shot, but it doesn't make sense the sizes of the rooms would equate to this one big hotel. Because again, you get rooms like the massive room where Jack is working, you get the kitchen, but then you get the bathroom scene where it's brought down with the color scheme, and then you get this, which feels like it's just a house within the hotel. So
why is that dresser so offset into like the doorway space though? Like there's something wrong.
I was wondering
here.
the same thing. I'm like, who designed this room? But it just,
I know you wanted to get the mirror shot of him on the bed, but like maybe a different piece of furniture. I don't know. That's like odd to me.
Turned in a certain way. It's very creepily done. But also the when Jack is like, I think I have the shot. Hold on. Let me see. Where is it? Come on, Nadia. I think it's no. There. This like his scrunchiness of his face and stuff could represent a minotaur. How a minotaur shaped with the horns and
horns.
It's far-fetched.
Interesting.
It's far-fetched. Niet for $10. Read this one, Moxie.
All work and no play makes Niet a dull boy.
Yes.
I can't do accents.
Thank you for the $10, Niet.
I'm sorry.
You're fine. We did German, right? I think we did German earlier.
German.
We'll do Spanish.
¡Que hables, maldito! ¡De lo contrario te arrojaré al fuego!
¡A la verga me vale verga, perro! ¡Y cállate a la verga, hija de su puta madre!
Puta madre. Oh man, I grew up in a 85 to 90% Mexican community. Nobody liked the ginger Mexicans. Just saying. That is a good reason to not like ginger Mexicans. I'm sorry.
Oh man, poor Chucky. Poor Chucky. Hey, Mephisto. The hotel always seems bigger than it really is to confuse us. The same goes for the kitchen scene. Yeah. So it's just anyway. The maze represents the film complex narrative structure and the character's psychological stares. This makes sense. Maze and minotaurs. influence of Greek mythology. Maybe not, right? Mazes have always influenced different things throughout different types of media, both movies and literature and stuff.
Sure.
So why not? Why
Classic storytelling. You go
Yeah.
back to the Greeks and the Romans.
These shots are just so, and it's interesting to me because this movie is so iconic in pop culture too,
Mhm.
especially this the pattern of the carpet. A lot of people behind you. Oh, you better watch out for those twins, man. There you go.
Clothesline those
Yeah,
chicks.
even the long shots of the hallways and such with Danny running around, it just each floor seems different too as well, and it just doesn't make sense like when you're designing a hotel. Or maybe it does back then, but it comes off weird. Am I talking about Moxie's boobs? No. You are now, Tech Rat. You are now. Welcome. Welcome.
Geez.
All right. So the last theory I have, which is why I think it fits with the mazes and minotaurs, is Kubrick's subconscious. So the theory suggests The Shining might reflect Kubrick's own subconscious or psychological state. So repetitive motifs might indicate Kubrick's obsession with nature or subconscious pattern. So that could fit with the mazes and the minotaur or the Native American genocide theory. The film structure and editing could reveal something about Kubrick's mental process or fears. Certain scenes and actions might parallel Kubrick's life or his approach to filmmaking, and the film is unintentionally or unintentionally a Rorschach test for Kubrick's psyche.
Rorschach?
So, like, yeah, thank you, Rorschach. Thank you. I don't speak English very well. It's the Gujanese is getting
The Gujanese has come for all of us. It's fine.
Yeah. So I think that is interesting. I think to me that the maze and the Native American genocide fits. The Apollo 11 hoax, I mean, even though you and I both agree maybe the landing didn't really happen, I don't think he's using The Shining to confess. Okay.
No. I mean,
and
it was
the
a fun
Holocaust-
little idea, but nah.
Yeah, and the Holocaust theory, I think that's a far stretch. I think we're just looking for things. So yeah, the tone is different with the movie and the book too. The book has more elements of horror, but it has the family drama and the personal struggle. Because again, Jack is more sympathetic in the book. He's a recovering alcoholic. He feels the guilt of what he did to Danny. You could see that throughout the writing. In the movie, though, it's less focus on that. He's off the bat, like we both agree, just a crazy individual.
He's a dick. He's resentful of his family. He's a jerk to Danny. Like, at least in the book, there was a progressive like decline in the character. Yeah, I agree.
But see what I mean by this? This is a different hallway versus.
Yeah, like, so this one seems more like a country bed and breakfast.
Yes.
Or something like that. And then the other one seems more like modern, something more like in a Severance show, something like that. Modern to the 70s, 60s, 70s. It's like they renovated different floors during different times. Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I can see that.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
That's a mess.
Yeah. Yeah, this scene terrified me as a kid. What did you think of this scene when you first saw it?
I think because if I were to have seen any of it, it would have been on TV. I think they cut a lot of things out, so I didn't really like see it until I was older. And I'm like, wait, what? What the heck was that?
One second. We're gonna put somebody in timeout. I think it's everybody kind of thinks it's some sort of like LGBTQ like moment in this movie. I really think this is just the derangement of the partygoers that Kubrick was just trying to increase in certain areas of the movie, right? Because we do see them when Jack's at the bar. You know, we get that whole scene where he's like, these people are having a party. I think this is just to show, in a sense, the deviance,
Degeneracy.
Yeah.
I get just encapsulating the degeneracy of like first you have the pretty party and then it devolves into this. Oh, maybe hearkening back to the Greeks and Romans, the wild parties, let's say, that they would have, falling into debauchery and like getting drunk and doing perverted shit. Like, no kink shaming, by the way. Just saying. I think that's maybe something that they were trying to highlight with this.
Yeah, Hook is right about this. This is where Baldur's 3 did get its inspiration for. I think it's to me it's more like a P Diddy party, if we want to use.
Yeah, same.
Mhm. Yeah, same thing. Yeah. The twins again. This is an interesting area of the hotel that just
it doesn't fit with the grandioseness of the other portions of it. It seems very hodgepodge. Like this looks like a rec room in like, rural Montana or something.
To me, it's the rec room for maybe the employees.
Maybe.
Could be. Kind of fits
They have
into
a
it.
payphone.
Yeah.
The water cooler.
We're like a generation away from
sense.
people not knowing what a payphone is.
I
I watch Seinfeld is like my comfort show to watch at night. I've seen it so many times. And when I'm watching it, sometimes I get sad because I'm like, we're like 1 or 2 generations away from people not understanding that you didn't have the internet to look up movie times. You didn't have the cell phone to tell your friends to meet you there. You just said, you called them and be like, hey, Moxie, you want to go see an 8 o'clock movie? Okay, I'll meet you down at front. We got to get there early so we can get good seats. None of this assigned seating.
Oh, here's my location. You can see where I am and we can plan accordingly. Like none of those those episodes they wouldn't happen.
No. Or the fact that like you had to know your city, like you needed, or you just read a map. Like you had to learn how to read a map. Yeah. Or map, was it MapQuest? It was like one of the few.
Was beginning. Yeah.
But in school, I had to learn how to actually like read a map of like, so.
Same.
Yeah.
That's amazing because you're only like 30 years old. I am so surprised that they were still teaching that. Not that long ago.
A little bar.
Very nice censorship.
My birthday's next month. I wish I was 30 years old. Creepy scene, right? Creepy scene. Not only is it creepy in the ghost, it's the fact that he's becoming an adulterer.
Oh, well, there's that. Yeah.
He kisses some strange woman. Dudes, you see this in the bathtub, you're going to kiss some random chick while your wife and you... First of all, you're staying in an isolated area where you should, like, there shouldn't be anybody there. And you go in to this room and this chick, while she's hot, and your first move is to give her a kiss.
Well, he's okay. To be fair, well, not on the adultery part, but to be fair, as far as like seeing people there, he sees the bartender, he sees other things. So I am not a lucid dreamer. I will believe anything that happens in a dream. So flying cows. Okay. All right, we're doing that today. Totally real. It's always been this way. I believe it. So he is compromised in his control over his own hallucinations. But yeah, he's also, we've already seen him be super bitter with her. Like he seems like he hates her.
Yes, he does, doesn't he? Like resents her, or the responsibility to her maybe, or I get the feeling that whatever happened to Danny those like years ago, she holds over his head in a sense. It could be some kind of resentment in there.
Yeah. So as he's losing control over his own mind, he's a man, in that state, compromised as he is, hot lady. Okay. Like I can understand it. He's not all there. But the confusion that he gets beyond just seeing a pretty lady there is this part. Like
pretty good special effects too.
Pretty
good makeup
it's
design.
Nasty.
Yeah,
it's gross.
It is.
Nobody likes this.
It is. It is interesting to see. When I don't know how you. Well, you know what the better question is. When you first saw this, the twist of her going from this hot chick to this. What did you think?
Was not expecting it. It was a twist I was not expecting. I didn't know what was going to happen. So yeah, it was a big gross out moment for me. Like, yeah, no.
I was shocked because I thought, to me, up until this point, it felt that with this reveal, that maybe this is the entity that's fucking with them the whole time.
Oh.
I thought it could be like just this woman But it turns out it's not, right? It's the whole hotel and there's multiple ghosts and stuff. But up until this point, I thought, okay, maybe this is like the leader of the pack here. This is the one who's been fucking with them the entire time. Turns out, no, just
another one. Just another
mouth is a
occupant.
mouth.
Oh dear.
Jeez.
Those gummers, you know.
Red rum. Would you recommend this to new people to horror? Would you say this is kind of like a introductory? Gucci, thank you. Gucci knees is fucking getting me today, man.
Real.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would absolutely recommend this to someone who's interested in the horror. Like, so it's funny because I said that I was never like a horror gal. But like, I'm like, as we're talking, I'm like, Goosebumps. Are you afraid of the dark? I grew up on those types of things, but when I think horror, I think the bloody slasher films of like the last 30, 40 years. But I'm more psychological thriller type. And this really ticks a lot of the buttons for me. And it also has a little bit of the ick factor, a little bit of goriness to it in some ways, that if that piques someone else's interest, they could, explore that. So I think it ticks a lot of boxes in the genre, and yeah, good introductory film for it.
I'm with you. I loved Are You Afraid of the Dark? R.L. Stein. Read a lot of R.L. Stein as a kid and stuff before reading King. I think this movie is interesting because depending on the stage of life you're in, you relate to it differently. So as a child, you're probably relating to it as it's like a scary ghost story movie where dad goes crazy, and then as an adult, you see it differently, like the abuse of Danny, the relationship between Jack and Wendy. And you're right, like it comes off as he just resents her, doesn't like her. To me, in the beginning, it almost felt like he didn't even want to bring his family with him. Maybe this was his way to escape from it. But yeah, I agree. I think there's just enough of it to be an introduction into it. I think it's also a good introduction to King's work. With Pet Sematary and Carrie coming up close to it as well. Carrie a little bit more gruesome, with a little bit
more on the nose with
Pet
the
Sematary
horror.
too.
Yeah, that one scared me as a kid. I saw only the TV version, and that was enough to freak me out. I did not like that. I mean, I liked it, but it freaked me out.
It is his bleakest book. It is the book you walk away feeling the most sad from. It is just a book that is just beats you up, and you need like chocolate and to like watch a comedy and a happy movie afterwards. Like it is one of his bleakest. Like it is, I love it. I have a first edition. I absolutely love the book. I would never recommend it as like a first book into King, to be honest, because it is so bleak.
You're like, well,
and it's one of his few.
You should read something else first to appreciate it more.
Yeah, because like King's books, King to me 50-50 on if he knows how to end a book, right? That's the running joke. Great storyteller, doesn't know how to end it most of the time. So there are other books I would introduce, because most of the time in the other books, the hero comes on top. There's something positive that happens, even if there's like dread along the way. But Pet Sematary, especially if you're a parent, I'm sure it affects it a lot stronger. It is. I haven't
watched it in probably at least 20 years. So
read the book if you want to really kick yourself
down.
I want
to be sad.
If you want to be sad.
Thanks, Nadia.
Are there any Easter eggs that I haven't pointed out or hidden details about the movie that you've noticed in your watch throughs?
I don't think so. Like I said, it's been too long since I've rewatched it, and probably now since this stream, I'll probably find other things about it. But no, I think we covered all of any sort of opinion or take or things I've noticed. Yeah.
Well, my last question for you is, if you could change one thing about this movie, what would it be and why? You got time.
I think it's pretty perfect as is. I wouldn't want to mess with it, except maybe see more. But again, the little bits that you get just only makes you want more, and that's the point, I guess. I wouldn't change anything about the movie. I would definitely recommend a read of the book if you've only seen the movie, and it'll just give you more depth to for me, it gave me more depth of appreciation for the film.
Yeah, I agree.
Characters.
The book definitely broadens the lore behind this, even though the Kubrick's version being different from it. If you want a good laugh, watch the 1997 miniseries because
see, that makes me sad.
it is rough.
If that's the takeaway, if you want a good laugh, watch the miniseries. It's like,
I'd rather
job,
watch
Steven.
Rose Red or Red Rose or whatever. I think that's a more fun time. I mean, it's not horrible, but it is quite interesting to see, because my experience was I watched The Shining, Kubrick's Shining, then I read the book. So similar to you. So I was like, wow, there's a huge difference in between these. I mean, I see the foundation in the movie, but there's difference in the characters, the approach and such. And then I watched the 1997 miniseries, and while it's closer to the book, it is horrendous.
the execution of it was just not good. It's
more the fantasy. So I agree with you. Kubrick's version leaves maybe not more to be desired, but it allows your imagination to be like, what is going on? Is this a haunting? Is he seeing things like just it's all in Jack's head, or is he actually being haunted by these things? There's many theories like the reincarnation theory. What's going on with The Shining? How does Danny play into this? So there's like a lot to be left on the table to allow your imagination to kind of fill it in.
Right. And it makes you want to watch it again. And
yes,
that's the indicator of a good film, is you want to watch it again. So
to me, it is the film that if you don't like it, it means you did not understand it in your own way. Again, there's different ways to interpret it, but I think if you did not like The Shining, go back and rewatch it. Like, give it a minute and go back and rewatch it and see, and maybe, or read the book and then watch it. But the 1997 miniseries is just like the book, a lot more fantasy into it, a lot more like CGI creatures in it, and the hotel's alive. So, but thank you, Moxie, for joining me to talk about also one of my favorite movies. Yeah, you'll have to come back for Dr. Sleep. You'll have to come back for Dr. Sleep.
I'll have to rewatch it sometime.
What do you got going on next?
The next thing I have going on is with Words of Paradise in the chat. On Thursday, we're doing that crime of the month. It's the Gypsy Rose Blanchard story. And then Friday, it's the block of the Cabal, starting with pre F&T, really into pre F&T with Irwin and Badger, and then the Turning Guccianese happens later in the evening, and then Inside the Badger Den, and then Neon Leon. So it's a packed day of Cabal shenanigans on Friday. But next up is definitely Thursday, that crime of the month with Leon, Words of Paradise on my channel. So Moxie, that one.
Very cool. Moxie's links are all in the description below. Please go follow her. She's awesome. Again, jack of many trades, master of none, but it's always a good time on her stream. She is awesome. So please go do that.
It's fun. You'll like it here.
You will. You'll have a great time. I cannot undersell this enough. Moxie, thank you so much for the memberships. Graph Web, Isaac, Hostman, Jake, Hostman again, and Niet. Guys, thank you so much for the super chats as well tonight. Chat, you guys have been amazing tonight as well. Thank you so much. I will be back on Friday. We're going to be finishing up Stranger Things over here on this channel. And then Saturday is my usual. Oh, also Friday night. If you're a little bit bored with Neon Leon, coming over to me, I'm doing Friday Night Frights, where I've hit my super chat goal. Leon knows I love him. And I'll be playing Until Dawn because The Quarry is so boring. I've decided why not switch it up a little bit, play Until Dawn until the movie comes out. And then Saturday I'm back for X-Files. So, last but not least, because I'm rambling, this Saturday is the members only watch party. We're going to be watching Event Horizon Saturday night. Ooh. So all that information is listed somewhere. I have no idea. Moxie, again, thank you so much. I had such a great time with you. You're always welcome back. It's always good to talk movies with you. And until next time, everyone, stay spooky, y'all.